This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is up on Center Stage, the show about the arts and the artists behind their work. You know, when we met the first time, we were talking about the fact that the original Star Wars in 1977, you know, there wasn't a lot going on in the film world that was filled with hope. Yeah. And you mentioned that some of the movies running at that time are The Deer Hunter and Herbie the Love Bug.
Logan's Run.
Isn't it interesting that Disney would be making Herbie, and now they're making Star Wars? And do you think this is a good shift for Star Wars in the future, that it's Disney run, so to speak?
I think Disney is learning an important lesson right now. The backlash that the fans sent by not engaging with the Solo movie is a direct result of The Last Jedi. I went and saw the Solo movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I came out of there, hey, that was fun. That's the whole point. But with Last Jedi, I felt like I got dumped in front of people, you know, in a public place or something. Right. And you know, and come to find out, I wasn't the only person who felt that way.
That's right.
I thought it was just me, or I was being selfish or something.
Yeah, there's almost a revolution now. No, you weren't being selfish.
Yeah, some people are a little bit militant about the whole thing, but once again, it's kind of like, you know, if you're making this movie for Lucasfilm, for Disney, you are solidifying your thumbprint, good or bad, in history, yeah. And it can't be changed. It can be, but it'll be weird, you know. Like you know, I had these bad dreams when I in my 20s in the 1990s that Star Wars was going to come back and it was going to be really, really bad, and it wasn't going to make any sense. And then the Phantom Menace came out, and I saw that, and my jaw was just on the floor because it came true. And I not that I thought it was my fault or anything, but
you thought you made this happen.
But I mean, it just goes to show you that even George Lucas, the inventor, creator of Star Wars, and the man that, you know, if he didn't exist, we wouldn't be having this conversation about anything. But even he
went wayward.
Yeah. And it does take a lot of people to make these things. It's not just one person. If it gets messed up, it's because of a lot of people. If it's perfect and it's wonderful and it's everything we hoped it would be, it's because of a lot of people. It's there's not one person to blame. So put it on Rian Johnson or Kathleen Kennedy, maybe the both of them plus everyone they're surrounded with being yes men, sure, why not? But that was George Lucas's downfall with the Phantom Menace, is that everybody didn't say, George, you might want to rethink this. This is really bad.
Listen to your inner voice here, because this is going the wrong route, trying to appeal to all the kids with too much digital effects, and of course Jar Jar Binks.
Well, you're forgetting about the story, man.
Exactly.
You know, I mean,
exactly. There was just too much going on. It was a little crazy. Yeah. What I liked about Solo was we got back to a great narrative. And what amazed me, too, Matt, was the fact that Ron Howard did such a great job.
Yeah.
At first, I was a little, reticent. I thought, oh, no, Ron Howard won't be able to pull it off. But then I remembered Willow. I don't know if you remember this film he did. And it was such a fantastic, mythical kind of excursion. It was fantastic. I think it's one of the greatest things he's ever done. And I thought there was an element of that in Solo, which kind of, propelled it along, which I enjoyed very much. And I loved Alden Ehrenreich. I thought he was great.
I thought he was adequate. I was kind of rooting for young Han Solo being Anthony Ingruber. Being given the old magic, I don't go along with this Hollywood thing of, it's got to be new and fresh, and I'm afraid of losing my job, so I got to make the right decision and not. And I'm afraid of losing my job, so I got to make the right decision and not do the imitation thing. I mean, what if Jim Carrey didn't look like what's his face on Man in the Moon, Andy Kaufman? What if he didn't look like Andy Kaufman? What if they decided, we don't want him to look like Andy Kaufman, he's just the essence? No, it's got to be Andy Kaufman. And Jim Carrey inhabited that and gave us Andy Kaufman. Jim Carrey was nowhere in the room. And the thing with Anthony Ingruber, that's not Anthony Ingruber when he walks in the room. That's young 25-year-old Harrison Ford we're getting. And I really wanted to see that. With a few $1 million behind it. It would have been beautiful. And it would have gave me those warm fuzzies of, I remember this place, because Here's young Harrison Ford.
Many people agree with you on this one. Many do. Now, why didn't it do well at the box office?
I have been hearing, quote unquote, that a lot of the backlash, a lot of people refused to see it because of Last Jedi, and a lot of people were so disenamored with Star Wars after Last Jedi, they just kind of dropped it. They said, well, if they're not backing me up anymore, I don't think I can back them up anymore. Or I feel silly backing this thing up that no one else is taking seriously. Or if Lucasfilm and Disney isn't taking this seriously, why am I?
Yeah.
Why am I that vested in this thing that I love so much? If they don't love it, then I guess I shouldn't either, because in 5 years, this thing is going to be just as bad as the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And that's bad.
And that's bad.
So bad. Just, ugh.
And then what we're seeing with Marvel and all of the, oh my gosh, the Avengers, the bringing everybody in one film where it's nothing but nonstop action. Oh my God. No, I'd hate to see the whole myth of Star Wars being forgotten. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And I really hope that J.J. Abrams can bring us back to that place where we're all hopeful, where we're all looking to Rey to be, the next hope in the line of the Jedi. And Kylo Ren, I think, is a very interesting character. I can't wait to see where he takes this. And I hope the story can get back on track. I really do, for the sake of all of us. Now, for you've been doing some Han Solo voiceovers.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
There's a few other filmmakers out there in YouTube land that have seen our film, and they try and get a hold of me and say, "Hey, man, I'm working on this project, and I need a Han Solo voice, and you're the guy. Can you please do this?" And I would record a few lines for them, and they would insert it into their film. And these are usually like there's these guys that get on headsets with like 20 friends, and everyone's a different character on Battlefront, and they walk around on Battlefront, and they act out these stories, but they're doing it through their joysticks from all over the world. They're not in the same room together, and there's one guy on a headset directing them all where to go. It sounds harder than what I'm doing.
Yeah, it does.
But on the game, they take away all the periphery information that you see on the sides and everything, so it looks more like a movie. And one guy's a stormtrooper, and he's supposed to run around and follow the other guys. And then when two characters get together, they talk a little bit, and that's where the voiceover stuff comes in. And so guys like that asked me to do that. Also, there's another, that's Fanboy Features for anyone that's looking for that. And also Scoundrels Cantina, which is a couple of guys that do factoids about Star Wars. And they have like 600,000 subscribers or something ridiculous like that. And they do these like hour-long fact-based things about the myth and canon of Star Wars. Like, did you know this? Did you know that? Here's how this happened and where this story came from, and they're extremely detailed. And they did one on Han Solo, where he came from, where he's going, and where he's been, and all that kind of stuff. And it was like 20 minutes long, and they asked me to do the voiceover for it. So they sent me like 20 pages of stuff.
I love it.
that I had to read through.
Can you give us a couple lines? Just give us a little Harrison Ford moment.
Well, the thing is, it's easy to do with just a couple of sentences, but to read like 20 pages of this and keep it consistent,
consistent.
That's
hard. Yeah.
That's the real trick. I don't know. I see you have a couple of things here. So, I mean, there's mid-age Harrison Ford and there's old Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm. I like mid-age.
Yeah, so do I. I'm not really seeing any stuff here. You have one in mind?
Oh, I love the "don't get cocky" moment when they're fighting off the TIE fighters.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
That's just one line. Oh.
That's not enough for you.
Great, kid. Don't get cocky.
Yep.
Just.
You've got it. You've got that inflection.
Stuff
I
like
love
that.
it. I love it. I love it. The other thing I loved is the fact that you used your two baby girls in your films.
Well, it's their fault. they wanted to play with the green screen, so it's like, okay, you're going to do the work. Get ready.
It's like they've got the coolest dad in the world. And
well,
you're like, okay, let's start making costumes,
so.
You go to Comic-Con and you go to Pennsylvania to find Chewbacca, as we talked about before. I loved it. And going out to Las Vegas to shoot, and oh my gosh, you've got it all. You've got it all going.
I'm trying.
Are the girls still involved? Are they really want to?
Yeah, we're thinking in the next episode we might have to kill off one of the daughters. We're not sure.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. To drive the story? Yeah.
One of those moments we're going to wear forever. Oh my God. Have you got any cute animals? Do you have any cute animals, like, this meerkat in a BB-8?
Yet. That explains how BB-8 works. It's just full of meerkats,
Our listeners don't realize I've got a meerkat here in a BB-8 costume. Believe it or not, a meerkat.
It's British.
Meerkat. Yeah, that's all we need to say. That just covers all that. That takes care of that. But if you kill off one of the daughters, oh my God.
It's just an idea I'm playing with. I don't know if I want to get that serious, because I'm trying to keep this lighthearted,
But Han is like, to the core, he's so human. I mean, how will he cope with the loss?
Well, but I mean, that's the thing, At the core, he's a good guy, but he doesn't trust anybody either, And he's had several reasons not to trust anybody, the character. And so, in our story that we're continuing, they're, making deals with different fractions of the broken up empire to kind of come back into the fold of the Republic and stop harassing people and, give up all, your control of all your, destructive weapons and stop enslaving people and, start working for us again and be nice. But, when that backfires or someone says okay and then double crosses them, usually a battle ensues and, people get killed, with lasers and whatnot flying around. So, in some movies, but that's I think was a good lesson from Rogue One. Star Wars, and I think we mentioned this earlier, that Star Wars was just this fun space romp, and nobody really gets hurt, minus the older gentleman, but. In Rogue One, everybody dies, and if you walk out to where people are shooting at each other, you might get hit. So
yeah, exactly.
That heroism kind of goes by the wayside. When you're eliminated so easily, because it's not a safe place to be. And Rogue One made it look like, like the Civil War, a dirty, disgusting, yucky place to be where people are awful and things are really, really bad, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to live there.
No, but they did die for a reason,
Yeah.
It was so great, and it was so great the way they knit it together at the end. I loved that aspect.
Yeah, it was a wonderful movie, but just the world they were living in was not a pleasant place to be, where Star Wars didn't look all that bad.
Yeah.
Look boring, actually. And then he gets to go on an adventure. Well, that's fun.
And so we've heard about the Obi-Wan Kenobi film.
Yeah.
That maybe has been shelved for a little while.
Well, all the executives get nervous when money starts coming off the table, and it just might be their fault. Yeah. Because their jobs go bye-bye if they screw up, at least that's how it's depicted in the movies, but...
Forgetting this, folks, from a guy in the business, it has to be true. Yeah.
But on that level, where you're more of a marketing executive than anything, if you make a bad decision and you lose the company a lot of money they were expecting to get, you're not going to be working there much longer. And these guys are paranoid, so they usually do a broad stroke, to cover their butt, so to speak.
Oh my gosh. Matt Mickelson, is so much fun to have you here all the time. And I'll just let you pet my meerkat again before you go. For good luck.
Can you put it in different outfits?
We probably can. We'll get him in a Chewbacca next.
So that would be very confusing, because he's a furry animal wearing a furry animal.
There you go. We've got to have you back regularly. I love having you back here. We can talk about film. We can talk about the legacy of Star Wars, the myth we need to follow. Thank you so much for being with us on Center Stage. Is the Force going to be with us for the rest of the day?
It better be.
It better be. Do you want to give us a Harrison Ford quote to close with?
That's not how the Force works.
Yeah. And there you go, people. And this is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is now down on center stage.
We didn't even get to talk about other movies.
I know. And look, I wanted to talk about the next Raiders, which has been shelved to 2021.
There's a Raiders? What?
Oh, supposed to be happening now.
That's right. He's going to be 80 or something like that by the time they get there.
Well, they're going to have to bring Shia LaBeouf back. And then...
Oh, that's another thing. The guy that's